Hello everybody, I'm Ajit Kemishra. I'm here with a module in communication skills, and this module is called Winning Communication Skills. We all know that communication is extremely powerful when it comes to taking care of our needs and the needs of others. We actually depend largely on communication. So communication helps us express ourselves well. Communication helps us communicate our thoughts, our ideas, our views, and our emotions extremely well with others. So communication is an essential life skill. It's one of the most crucial life skills that we all need in order to survive, do well in life. So if you look at how communication helps us in various ways, you'll find that without expressing, a human being cannot live. And a human being will always be in a distressed state if the person is not able to communicate his or her ideas or thoughts to others. So communication actually helps us express what lies within, what lies inside, so that we feel good, we are at ease with ourselves. So communication, on the other hand, also helps us engage with people around us. We form bondings, relationships with them through the right kind of communication, and we find the right kind of people with whom we can spend time, we can share our ideas, our thoughts. We can also think like being vulnerable at times and sharing our weaknesses as well. So communication builds that trust among people. At the same time, it brings people, and then people can come together, collaborate, cooperate with each other, and that leads to a greater amount of productivity. So when we look at the important aspects of communication, we come across these four aspects: connection, collaboration, productivity, and well-being. Each of these aspects is very, very important because it tells us that communication is extremely powerful, and with a set of winning communication skills, we can always do wonders. So if we have to talk about connection, then we know how it actually helps. So when it comes to connection, communication is the most important tool that helps us build connection not only with ourselves but also with people around us. And connection is one such important human need without which we cannot live this life properly. So connection has various aspects associated with it. It all begins with consciousness transformation. That means it creates a great amount of awareness in ourselves, about ourselves, and it leads to a kind of self-discovery when we begin to realize or actualize our consciousness transformation. So consciousness transformation is all about discovering oneself, coming to terms with oneself, being more and more self-aware. For example, taking care of one's skills, one's thoughts, one's purposes, motivations, attitudes, personality types. Getting to know oneself extremely well is what connection helps us with. And in order to do so, it's very important that we develop the right kind of communication so that we also develop the right kind of self-awareness. So communication, when it is converted into connection, can actually help us reach out to people when we have developed a greater amount of self-discovery, or we have discovered ourselves extremely well. So when we reach out to others, we will connect with them and will establish the right kind of bonding, will form the right kind of relationships with them, will be in a position to understand them, their needs, and then we can be in a position to communicate our needs so that there is some kind of complementarity between their needs and our needs. So communication actually helps us do that. At the same time, communication also, while it takes care of connection, it helps us build the right kind of empathy. And with a proper understanding of the emotional feelings of others around us, we can form the right kind of connection with them. So connection requires a great amount of empathy so that we build the right kind of connection with people around us. And when all these things happen, that means when somebody becomes extremely aware of oneself, and when somebody knows how to reach out to people around him or her, and then when somebody is replete or full of empathy, that person can actually take care of conflicts in a much better way. Because we all know when we go out and begin to interact with people around us, we begin to exchange our thoughts, our views and ideas with them, there is every likelihood that we run into some kind of conflict with those people. So if we know how to connect with people, if we know how to understand the emotional states of people around us, we can easily manage conflicts. So that is how we can resolve conflicts with the power of connection, which we derive through the right kind of communication. Secondly, it leads to something that is very, very important if we have to live a satisfied, a fuller life. Because without collaborating, without cooperating with others, we cannot go far. So, in order to be collaborative, we have to adopt open-mindedness. Open-mindedness actually derives a great amount of its inspiration from the fact that we understand what people are and what they believe in. And we develop a right kind of respect for their beliefs, their understanding, their approaches. It cannot be that one person will be superior to all others and others are not that good. So that will lead to some kind of conflict. So when that happens, when we approach people with open-mindedness, when we try to understand, try to respect their points of view, their perspectives, there is every possibility that we will cultivate respect for them. And with that, we can actually form the right kind of collaboration with those people. Because for any collaboration to happen, trust building is the most important activity. Trust building will happen only when we share mutual respect with each other. And that will happen only when we cultivate open-mindedness. Thereafter, recognition and bridging play a very, very important role when it comes to understanding people, respecting their approaches and their perspectives. So recognition is recognizing the differences that everyone has. No two people can be the same. They are different from each other. They think differently, they approach things differently, and they understand things differently. And they also, try to solve problems differently. So we need to understand that no two people can be the same. They are different. But this difference doesn't mean that one is good, the other is not. Both of them are equally good. But we need to understand and we need to acknowledge and accept these differences. And then we can actually recognize these differences in others. Once we recognize that somebody else can also be good in some other way, once we do this, and once we accept the fact that when two or more people come together, that leads to a great amount of teamwork. A stronger team emerges when more than two people come together. So that will happen only when we recognize the good, the specialties in each of the people around us. And that will lead to the right kind of bridging between one self and the other selves. And when that happens, that will lead to collaboration. And the third most important aspect is teamwork and leadership. So teamwork is very, very important because this is the era of team working where everyone is a leader, every team member acts as a leader and contributes to the interest and the goals and the objectives of the team in the right manner as the leader. So team working is extremely important, and for any teamwork to happen, for any team building process to take place, it's important that we act, we behave as leaders, and then we can think of building the right kind of team. Unless we show the right kind of leadership skills, which shows a great amount of understanding, open-mindedness, flexibility to change, acceptance, acknowledgement, and respect for all team members, no collaboration can ever happen and no team can ever emerge. So teamwork and leadership are two very important aspects of collaboration. And thereafter, cooperative problem solving. When a team has emerged, it will lead to cooperative problem solving because each of the team members will begin to think about a problem, the team problem, in a collaborative and cooperative manner, and each member will think like contributing in some way so that the problem is solved. And when all this happens, that will lead to productivity. Productivity is very, very important because whatever we do, all our efforts that we put in or into any task, any work, must lead to some outcome. If it doesn't lead to any outcome, all our efforts go waste. So we cannot afford that. Therefore, productivity, the outcome, the results, they actually determine what kind of teamwork, what kind of collaboration or cooperation or connection we are establishing with each other. So productivity can actually be enhanced when we take care of transparency and empowerment. As a team leader, if I do not empower my team members, if I do not trust my team members, then they will not develop the sense of belonging to the team, and that will result in poor productivity. They will not be contributing in any capacity to the team objectives or the team goals. So transparency is very, very important because as the leader, I cannot afford to conceal a lot of things from my team members. I have to be absolutely transparent when it comes to team decision-making processes and taking care of all other aspects of the team and its members. So once I behave in a transparent manner, it will lead to empowerment. Once I develop trust for my team members, it will lead to empowerment. When that happens, that will result in low friction because we all are humans and there is every possibility that when we are put in the same workplace or in the same working ecosystem or environment, we will definitely have some kind of friction of interests, friction of our ego, and a friction of various other things. So when there is transparency, there is understanding, there is empowerment, that will lead to low friction. And that will also reduce to a great extent misunderstanding, because misunderstanding is one such problem which can easily destroy the team interest, the team objectives and team mission. So it's very important that we take care of the friction that generally happens among team members so that productivity or high productivity can be ensured. And that will actually create a great amount of accountability in team members. So every team member will behave in an accountable manner. If no team member is empowered, they will not behave in an accountable manner. They can promptly push the blame to others and say that I was not making any decision, so therefore I am not to blame. If every team member contributes, gets an opportunity to be a part of the team decision-making process, then every team member would behave in an accountable manner to the team activities. So that will lead to greater accountability. And then it will lead to a very healthy work environment. We all know for any organization to be successful, the environment in which people are put into plays a very, very important role. So if an organization has a healthy work environment, then people will feel like being involved, being engaged, and they can relate to the environment. People will feel like coming to the organization, coming to their workplace, spending a lot of time because they feel safe, secure, they feel absolutely comfortable. So if that comfort level is not established, that will lead to problems. So with that, we can now talk about the fourth aspect of it, that is well-being. So we all know communication plays a very, very important role when it comes to well-being, because by nature all human beings are expressive. We cannot live without expressing ourselves. Just look at those people who either do not get an opportunity to express themselves or do not know how to express themselves. The amount of psychological issues they struggle with will surprise, will even shock us. So it's very, very important that we understand this particular aspect of human existence and human nature. We all are communicative. We all are expressive. So we would like to express regularly whatever we feel like, whatever we come across, whatever we discover, whatever we have found is exactly what we would like to communicate to others, would like to share with others, would like to express to others. Our emotional states, our mental states, everything we would like to express to others. So if we do not express, if we keep ourselves aloof from others, that will lead to some mental issues or psychological issues for each one of us. Therefore, it's important that we communicate in a manner so that we can express ourselves to others, so that we can, through those expressions, build solid and positive relationships with people around us. And that can happen only when we begin to exude trust and understanding. So when through communication we achieve trust and understanding, that will definitely result in a well-being, because trust is something that will take away the fear of insecurity. We all know that humans are also very, very insecure when it comes to the workplace environment, even in relationships, personal relationships. Humans feel very, very insecure because there is a lack of trust. There is no complete trust when it comes to relationships, either personal or professional relationships. Whenever there is a lack of trust, that leads to mistrust or distrust. So, and that will result in poor understanding. So, communication plays a very important role in building that trust. The tone in which we communicate, the kind of volume, the kind of pitch, the kind of words that we choose to communicate our views or thoughts, our feelings to others, all these determine whether there will be trust and understanding or not. And then when we communicate in an inclusive manner, so that the persons with whom we communicate do not feel offended, do not feel bad, hurt, that will lead to belongingness. They will belong to us. And that will lead to the building of trust and understanding. Inclusive communication is very, very important. I'll be talking about inclusive communication in the sessions that will follow after this. So for now, it's very important that we accept the fact that inclusive communication is very important because it develops the right sense of belongingness. Similarly, it also leads to equity and assurance. We are not talking about equality, we're talking about equity. That means every person has the right kind of opportunities. Every person is given an opportunity in a manner so that it will place everyone equitable platform. So when there is equity, that will lead to assurance. because people will feel assured. They will develop that confidence in themselves and in the organizations or in their relationships. And when a person is full of confidence, the person will definitely feel very, very good about, and the person will definitely have psychological well-being. And then when communication is done in a manner so that it leads to purpose and direction. Just imagine the condition of a person who has no purpose or direction in life. You speak to the person will readily tell you that he or she is wandering, he or she is not at ease with himself or herself. Such people are never at ease with themselves. So just check with them. They'll tell you that they are not at all comfortable, they're not comfortable psychologically, they are struggling all the time because they do not have purpose and direction. So communication actually helps us define and determine our purpose. And once that is done, that will give a direction to us. And when that happens, that will also lead to well-being. With that, I can tell you that these 4 things are very, very important because communication leads to all these things: connection, collaboration, and productivity, well-being. So that is the power of communication. Communication can change the way we live. Communication can transform the way we approach life. So that's the reason why communication is extremely powerful. And with that, we come to the end of this session. Gained something from this session which will help you, explore the power of communication yet further. So thank you for joining me. I'll meet you again in the next session.